So we're going to go ahead and start. Thank you all for coming to our training for FF, we call it FFF for short, but it's our Fables, Feathers, and Fur, which is a storytelling program that Grace started a year ago. It's been a fabulous program because some of you, if you've been around for a while, you know we used to do a program called Young at Art for really little kids, and then that went away after a while. It kind of fizzled out, and so this is a new way of reaching that audience, and it's been a very successful way to reach this preschool audience. Now, during the school year, during the September to early June, the audience is typically preschool kids. Sometimes they come with their caregivers, sometimes they come with their daycare or preschool, sometimes they come with their parents. But it typically is kids like 3, 4, 5 years old, not quite school age yet. And then when we do it in the summertime, at least last summer, we found that it went from pre-K, like starting at about age 3, and it pushed up throughout upper elementary in the summertime because those kids are out of school and available. Did you find that last week? Did you have some of those older kids? Or?
Not yet. And also in the summertime we do an announcement so that we make sure that any kids that are in the galleries know that this program is available for them to attend. And we typically choose activities that are age appropriate for 3 to 6. However, there are little things that we can do to tweak it if we have older kids or even younger than 3.
Yeah. So hopefully, did everybody get one of these handouts? Okay, if not, there's a bunch under that pile there. So make sure you get one of those. Grace has put one of the ads there, so you can see this program. We do it really frequently. It's every single Wednesday at 10, starting at 10:30. We say it goes 10:30 to 11. Sometimes people stay a little bit later than that. It's free. But if they want to stick around afterwards and like go to the children's gallery, they're supposed to go purchase an admission, and if they are sticking around. But the program itself is free. So you can see here program length 30 minutes, start time 10:30, location galleries or sculpture trail in the summer, and it could be start outside. So we always start. It says target audience age 3 to 6, like Grace just said. There's some good information about storytelling and some of the expectations. So basically, if you sign up to do this program, you would get excited about what story you want to read. That's where I always start. Is that where you start when you're kind of prepping? Find a story and think of a project. Now, some of our readers do the story but not the project. Am I correct? So you don't necessarily have to do both pieces. If you feel excited about picking a book that's appropriate for kids that age and reading the book to kids, but you're not as excited about the art project piece, just talk to Grace and we can pick up on the art project piece. You don't have to do both. I, as a former art teacher, love the project piece, so sometimes I think of the project first, then I find a book. Actually, that was in this case today, I did it that order. Yeah. But most people usually start with the story, I think, and then they think of the project. It can really be done either way. So the program is, there are 2 parts essentially to it. The first part is usually in the galleries unless it's summer and we decide to go outside. But it's usually in the galleries. Kids come in and Grace puts out animal tracks laminated, so when they come in the front they know right to where to go, what painting or sculpture is the focus. She puts out cushions for them to sit on. It's very inviting. There's usually some benches nearby, so if adults are not comfortable sitting on the floor, they have an option not to. So not all adults are comfortable sitting cross-legged on the floor. The kids are happy to sit on the cushions. Some adults sit with their kids on the floor, some sit at the back. Anyway, they come in, they sit. The reader comes out, and usually there's a chair you'll see in front of the work of art for the reader to be at. When I'm the reader, I always, usually, when I come out, I bring my project and I bring the book with me. And then, as you'll see on this sheet here, so basically, let's go back to how you start prepping for a program like this. Most people start with the book rather than the project. And you want to find one that's age appropriate, obviously, for 3-year-olds to 6-year-olds. So that means it's fairly short. You can read it in like 10 minutes at the most, 5 to 10. You should be able to read it in 5 to 10 minutes. It should ideally be bigger than this book that I have today for ease of everybody seeing it. I was just saying the library, Teton County Library, was very disappointing in their lack of kids' books about flowers. really frustrating. But ideally it should be a bigger book with big pictures. This one is not great that way, I have to say. It has fairly small pictures. It's all pictures, there's no text in this one. Most of the time people will choose one with text. When you're reading, you want to be, talking about it, you want to be sharing it around. We typically try to do upside down reading. It's kind of takes a while to get used to that. Another thing you can request, when Lynn Fries was a reader, she requested me to be a page shower, so she was able to look at the book and read it. I had another copy of the book. I was keeping up with her and showing the pictures. It's really nice if we can get 2 copies to do that, and we can always be the picture showers. We can always help. If you're the reader, we're happy to be the picture showers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Jane,
yes.
how do you get the book to figure there's something in the gallery?
Oh, good question.
How do
Good
you get
question.
them to coordinate?
Yes.
Or how do
Okay.
you
So
think they
so
coordinate?
typically, how I do it, different people may have different approaches. But I knew I wanted to do a flower project. Then I went and looked for a flower book. And then I said to Grace, we need to find a painting with flowers in it, which again was surprisingly hard. I was surprised. We found one that will work. It's like, they're not big, huge flowers, but the kids will have to hunt for them and it will work.
Okay.
Yeah. So sometimes you find something that's perfect and you say, oh, this is a story about animals in winter and what they do to survive winter. And then you go find any kind of winter painting with an animal in it and you say, oh, let's do it right here. So basically you're trying to find something that will work. Sometimes you find something really good and sometimes you find something, it'll work. We can always find something that will work, but we're happy to help you pair a work of art with the book that you choose. You can always find something.
And it can vary on the theme. Either we're talking about a specific animal, or we're talking about color, or we're talking about composition. So we can sort of make different things
We
work.
can make it work, absolutely.
Based upon like the questions that we ask the audience and how that occurs. But I think, as Jane said, primarily coming back to the project, said that it's easy for them to comprehend that connection visually between.
Yeah, so there's
making
really 3 connections. There's the book, the work of art it's paired with, and the project back here in the classroom. And we're happy to help with any piece of that. So if you find a book that you think is age appropriate, you can read it in 5 to 10 minutes, you'd like to share it with kids, but you're not sure about the other pieces, talk to us and we can help pair it with the work of art, and we can also help pair it with the art project. Yeah, definitely. So, let's see. So we talked about choosing a book that's you can read in about 5 minutes to 10 minutes at the most. We talked about choosing a book that's better than this one, that has big pictures that they can see. So there's a back sheet to your papers too. So basically, it says choose a shorter book. Some of that stuff there, the bullet point down there below the sample program. So you're going to start by introducing yourself. So you're going to be out there with your sample project and with your book, and you'll see me do this. And the kids come, and I usually say who I am. You would say I'm Ron Stevens. I'm a volunteer at the museum. I'm going to read to you today. Or I'd say I'm Jane Lovino. I work here at the museum. I'm going to read to you today. I always say welcome to Fables, Feathers, and Fur. Some of them are repeat, and they know exactly. And then you get some people who have never been. So I say welcome to Fables, Feathers, and Fur, our storytelling program for kids preschool through lower elementary. For those of you who are here for the first time, we're going to start by reading this book and talking about this painting, and then we're going to be moving into the classroom in about 10 minutes, and we're going to do a project, and the whole thing will take about half an hour. And
all of it, just to not to overwhelm you, all of that stuff, I can also introduce that part.
Okay.
I've been doing that recently
Have
and
you?
saying like, welcome, this is who we'll be reading,
Oh,
so that you're
okay.
not so worried about giving all that
Uh-huh.
information, and you're
Well,
really
that's good to
focused
know.
on making sure that you're
Yeah.
enjoying the book and the
So then
activity.
the other key thing is, as the kids are arriving, they don't all arrive at once. Yeah, you wish they would, but they don't all arrive at once. So when it's time to start, you might have 3 kids and another one coming through the door. Know that they come in dribbles and drabs. We try to delay starting the book until 5 minutes into the program. So the program's advertised as starting at 10:30. So you don't want to start reading your book till 10:35. Because that's pretty important that they get that piece. So what we do for the first 5 minutes is we talk about the art. Because if they miss that, it's too bad, but it's not essential to understanding what comes next with the project and so forth. So while they're coming in, and this is where Grace put some things here, she said, introduce yourself, the museum and the rules. I'm glad you put that. I usually forget about that. So it's a good time to say, we're in an art museum. Remember not to touch the artwork, even if your hands look clean, which mine don't, and you just wash them. You have, you know, there's stuff on your hands that can come off onto the artwork. So really be careful not to touch the artwork. What other rules, Grace, are important there? That's the main one, probably. And then we tell them, okay, so let's talk about this work of art. And you do, this is where, for those of you who are on the sculpture trail training, day before yesterday, we talked about VTS, Visual Teaching Strategies, and all that means, and it's a method to get the kids talking. What do you see? Why do you think that? What's happening in this painting? It's like this open-ended discussion kinds of things. Hey, are you coming to the program and the training? Come on in. That's great. We're going to be in here just talking about the program for volunteers, and then we're going to be actually doing the program. Is this your grandson?
Yes, this is her.
Welcome.
It was a teacher work day.
Nice to have you. That's fabulous. We're glad you're here. So we're going to be talking for a little bit more, and then we'll be going into the galleries and really starting the program. So have a seat, and you're going to have fun too. Nice. So you'll be talking about the artwork, and when we go in there, I think I told you today we're doing the William R. Lee Female of Species. I'd say, what do you see? What animals do you see? Oh, there's a horse. There's a mare, or a mommy horse and a baby horse. Oh, there's a wolf. What else do you see? What's happening? Oh, the horse is chasing the wolf. Yeah, why is the horse chasing? You know, you kind of elicit what's going on. Does anybody see anything else? I'm going to try see if they notice the flowers. They may not, because they're really subtle. And then I might kind of transition after we've done this for a while. Does anyone see any flowers in this painting? And they have to look, what color are the flowers? Where are the flowers? You get them to point things out so that everybody can see it. Does anybody know? What are some yellow flowers that you've seen before? Does anybody know the name of some yellow flowers? They might say dandelion, rabbit brush. What else do we have blooming here right now? Yep, balsam root. Cinquefoil, thank you. So we could see what they know about yellow flowers. So then, if 5 minutes have gone by and we say, okay, good enough, other people have come in, okay, we're going to start our book today. And I usually do a quick introduction to the book. I say, today's book is one I got from Teton County Library. Sometimes we get them from the Children's Gallery, sometimes from the museum shop. You may have some in your own personal collection. It doesn't matter where they come from. If you know of a book but you don't have it, Grace can order it for you. We have a budget for getting special books. So you say, today's book is called Sidewalk Flowers by John Arno Lawson and Sydney Smith. And I got this from the Teton County Library. And this is an interesting book because it's a book without words. It's all pictures. And it's a book about a child. The child's always in the red hooded sweatshirt here. And the child is out on a walk with, it looks like her father maybe, and the child is looking for flowers. Do any of you ever go out with somebody, your grandma or your grandpa or your mom or your dad looking for flowers? You do? Do you ever pick flowers in your yard and bring them in? And so you make connections to their lives. You make it kind of interesting that way. And then I'd start the book, in this case, telling what's happening, pointing out, does anybody see the flowers? Because in this book, this child is like searching for flowers, first in the city, and finding them like in cracks in the sidewalk, and the child picks the flowers. It's like little wildflowers and weed flowers that are growing, and you might want to say to the kids, now you can't always pick flowers that you find. Like if you're in the national park, you can't pick the flowers, but if you're on the national forest, you can pick the flowers. And if it's your mom or your dad's garden, maybe you better ask permission before you pick, or your neighbor, you should probably ask permission before you pick flowers. You know, that kind of thing. But in this book, the child, then they wander outside of the city and they go into the park and they find flowers, and sometimes the child puts them like on the dead bird as a little like special touch to recognize the dead bird. Or in this case, the child puts the flowers, there's a man sleeping on the bench, and the child quietly puts some of the picked flowers on the, and you might say, did you ever give flowers to somebody? I remember my daughter was young and we lived up in Buffalo Valley. She got so excited about picking some of the first wildflowers to come up, and then we went to some of our neighbors and knocked on the door, and she gave them a little bouquet of flowers. She was so excited to do that. And so then, you know, we'd just go on, and the child, like, puts some in the dog's collar. She sticks some of the flowers she finds in the dog's collar. And anybody ever put flowers in your hair or behind an ear or in a buttonhole? It's kind of fun to find places to put flowers. This lady she's put them in her hair. She gives this lady some flowers and she puts them in her hair, which is very nice. And then they go home and look at how many flowers they have growing along the fence in their home. This is a family that really likes flowers. So she found some out in the city and she found some in the park, but now she's back in her yard. Maybe it's not a she, maybe it's a he. This is one of these gender neutral children. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. Is that a she or a he? Help me out here. Should I call it a she? A child. The child. I'll call it the child, not a she or a he. And so that's the book. So now everybody, and so we had a chance to read a book about finding flowers in interesting places, whether it's at home or out somewhere. Some of them grow in gardens, some of them grow wild in little tiny places like cracks in the sidewalk. But it's a beautiful time of year to be thinking about flowers and learning about flowers and learning the names of some flowers. So now we're going to go to the classroom and we're going to do a flower project. And then I usually have these under my chair and I pull it out and I say, we're going to work with pressed flowers. So pressed flowers are when somebody goes out and picks real flowers and they can put them in a big heavy book and just leave them there for like maybe a month. And then they dry out and they're beautiful pressed, but they're kind of fragile. So when you touch them, you have to be careful you don't grab them because they'll crunch up like a dry leaf. So when we work with these flowers, we're going to lift them really carefully off the table and we're going to work with them. But each of you is going to make one of these pressed flower pictures that can then hang in a window. It's kind of like a stained glass window, and then you'll have a chance to color around the outside. And this is something called contact paper. It's sticky paper, so the flowers are kind of trapped like a sandwich when you have two slices of bread with stuff in the middle. This is flowers kind of sandwiched between some sticky contact paper. So, shall we go into the classroom and make one of these? All right, let's go. Follow me into the classroom. So that's how it works. Anything to add to that, Grace?
I would just say that two things. Within the reading, like Jane said, always bringing it back to their experiences, making sure that you punctuate the reading with questions like, have you done this before? What do you notice? Is really important. And it helps keep their attention, because if it's not of interest to them, then there's no reason for them to sort of continue to pay attention. And additionally, I want to say, just as far as like disciplinarian, if you will, the parents during the reading are primarily there to be the disciplinarian, and they'll be pretty good about that, so you don't really have to worry about that. However, we do have school groups that come in, and we always need help with those. Those are like special moments where someone has come in and they say, well, we can't come on Wednesday, but could you do this project for us? And in that instance, one of the education staff will sort of help guide that. But that shouldn't be something that you need to worry about, is primarily what I mean by bringing that up, because your focus is really just to almost be the educator and go through the story. Yeah. So there's no need to worry about that or to sort of pay attention to a child sort of acting out. There'll be someone there to help support that.
Oh yeah, and Grace, if not the parent, and we all know some parents are better than others at disciplining their kids when they, don't touch the artwork. Grace will be there to say, please come back and sit down, please don't touch the artwork. She can help with that. Yeah. So you shouldn't have to do that while you're trying to read at the same time. Yeah, we will help with that. Now let's talk about the project. Usually you have helpers back here. You might be running the project if you choose to do so. You might be just turning it over to Grace and the others who are helping to run the project. So that's completely up to you. But whoever's running the project, it's a good idea to tell people what's going on so they can be of as much help as possible. And I haven't done that yet. So when they come in, they're going to sit where there are two plates with Grace has already cut out the holes, and they have two pieces of clear transparent contact paper. This is really hard to peel. So helpers, this is really hard to peel. So you can work at the corner, but grab one and start peeling, and you're going to see what I mean. if everybody could grab one, I'm gonna have you prep one so that at least that many are done when they come in here. Grab the corner and see if you can separate. It's so hard. Oh, I got it. If you can't, if you need help, there's some X-Acto knives up here, and you could gently, on the paper side, score it, but don't cut hard or you'll go through both layers. But if you're having trouble peeling it, I suggest going to the paper side with an X-Acto knife and scoring it just light enough to go through the paper. And then if you catch it, I got mine from the corner. Peel it, you'll peel it like that, and you'll try to let it hang down so it doesn't stick to itself. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put it, okay, on the convex or concave? Concave side of the plate. The side you eat on, you're going to go to the side of the plate that you would put your food on, and you're going to stick it down like a big sticker to cover that hole, like this. So the sticky side is actually on the side that's the bottom of the plate. The sticky side is on the bottom of the plate. The non-sticky side is where the food would go on the plate. So if you can get yours peeled, get one ready, and then, like I just did, and we'll leave it right here with the sticky side up. So when the kids come in, they can just start sticking flowers to that sticky side. At least that much is done. So when they come in, we'll have one sticky side ready, right here, like I have on mine, the sticky side up with the other plate sitting nearby ready. So when the kids come in, that's it. Yeah, so just have it ready right like that. So when the kids come in, we'll talk to them a little bit, but I'm going to limit each kid, I'm going to remind them again to be really gentle with the flowers, because if you go, they'll crumple up like a dried leaf. So in other words, you're going to slide it into the edge of the plate, be really gentle with it, and then they're going to stick them to the sticky piece. If you look at mine right here, I have this sticky piece so that they start sticking flowers to it. I'm going to, depending on the number of kids, I'm going to limit them and say, adults, let the kids pick out. If we have a lot of kids, I'm going to limit them to 4 flowers. If we have fewer kids, they'll get to use more than 4 flowers. But we'll start with 4. We're going to say, everybody start with picking 4 flowers and arranging them on the sticky stuff. It's hard, isn't it?
It's ridiculous. I found if you wrinkle the paper, like kind of bend it a little bit.
Do that go now?
I tried to fold it.
So then they're going to get to arrange the 4 flowers they pick on this sticky side any way they want. And then with the parents' help, because as you can see it's really hard to peel, the kids actually might be better than we are at peeling this. So then for the next one, they do the same thing. You peel it and you stick it with the sticky side, like a big sticker on the food side with the sticky side going to the bottom. Same thing. And then you just sandwich it. So if you look at mine for a second, picture I have this one sticky side on the palm of my hand, and that picture, no glue, no glue. And so the contact paper sticks to itself like a sandwich, so you have like the 2 pieces of bread with the stuff in the middle. Sticky, sticky, sticky. Oh wait, before you do that, sorry, I forgot one step. Before you do that, you take your ribbon and you put it in a circle around the window, sticky window, and then you stick it together, and then you have 2 pieces hanging out that you tie and tie. Does that make sense to everybody? And then you have your hanging piece. And then you can decorate the outside. So the sticky goes facing towards the bottom of the plate, the part that would touch the table if the plate was sitting. Sorry.